Hello, everyone. I'm truly excited today. I've got a very, very special guest with me, also a friend. He is a Michelin star celebrity chef. He's an author, he's a columnist, he's someone who's changing the cuisine from Indian to global. He's also a cultural commentator. There's so many things to him, so many feathers to his hat. Though I'm wearing the hat today, but there are many feathers to his hat, which I can go on and on. So it's an honor and privilege to have the one and only Mr. Suvir Saran with me today. We're going to share some insights on his remarkable journey. So, welcome, Suvir, to this podcast. I'm really excited that you've taken out some time to do this with me. So, to begin with, Suvir, I want to first of all ask you, you began in visual arts, before redefining food globally. Do you see cuisine as your most honest form or storytelling today?
Food is storytelling, and it's the only medium we know where nothing can be hidden. A painting can be explained, a book can be defended, but a dish, once people have tasted it, there's nothing to be revealed.
Right.
Everything has been tasted. The proof lies in the taste, the taste of the pudding.
Right.
So your restraint, your ego, your uh, most honest storytelling happens on a plate in the most guttural, most unchangeable manner. So, food, it doesn't allow you to pretend, it doesn't let you act if you want to be honest. So, for me, the visual journey is also happening on the plate,
Okay.
storytelling is happening on the plate, and most of all, the most authentic version of yourself, your efforts, your mastery, your wizardry is on display with food because food doesn't lie. It's very difficult for it to lie.
Also,
We
you
can
know,
do all the theatrics, but the taste can't be changed.
right. Also, at what point, did cooking stop becoming a survival or passion, and actually it became a purpose for you?
You know, purpose arrived quietly, without ceremony, without drums rolling, somewhere between feeding strangers who became family and
Right.
understanding that nourishment could give people dignity, could give people succor, could give people a future and satiety and good health and new beginnings. Food became that something for me that wasn't transaction, it was intention, that was everything in my mind, body, and soul. And I think it's anything else I've done, including writing, which I love a lot. Um, Food is all about a very guttural way of intent meeting mastery, meeting reaction.
Okay.
And it's a very, very beautiful way of you seeing what you've done. You can see it in people's faces. They do a
Right.
happy dance that they really love a dish.
Right.
When they're being polite, it's those Instagram dishes that look wonderful, but when you taste it, what do I do? But when you see people going, you've done it and you've done it right.
Right. And you're someone who's actually lived between the India and the West. So do you think identity is something we preserve or something we constantly negotiate?
So, identity is not a museum artifact or a painting that you can um, preserve. Identity is a living argument with yourself, with your inner demons, with your past, with your aspirations for your future, and it must be preserved. And anybody who thinks that identity has to be kept in a prison is afraid of losing control, and then they get unanchored. They worry that their life will change. I think we negotiate constantly with our identities. We become bigger, different, smaller, richer, poorer versions of ourselves. But it's not about being convenient, it's about being conscious
Right.
that your choices of identity have to make you richer, happier, fuller, and fulfilled. And it's then that your identity is growing in the right direction.
Right.
Otherwise, you're protecting something that's eating you inside out, and it's that cancer that kills you in the end.
Right. And how much is Suvir Saran the instinctive institution to you more, or is it more discipline?
Instinct gives you direction, discipline gives you integrity.
Right.
It makes you honest, it makes you more full, because without discipline, instinct can be indulgence, mindless indulgence that has no heart and soul, that may give you profit but another time, a few years or even months later, it's so mechanical that people boo you for it.
Right.
So you need both, but you need the discipline of integrity and to sail the boat to that place where it's not rocking, but it's anchored and you feel you've done something worthwhile.
Okay. And also, in a world chasing innovation today, you think the returning of simplicity is a true luxury today?
You know, um, it is. I think the truest form of luxury is when you cut down the noise, when you edit out ingredients, when you simplify things, and you go to the crux of the matter, the core of a flavor, when you go to complete satiety without fuss. The magic that is in less is more can't be matched anywhere else.
Right.
Because without showmanship, without trauma, without torture, you've given something so beautiful, succinct, so pure, so tasty, so correct and appropriate and circumspect that everything else is banal. And I think a master of any craft has arrived when they've learned how to do magic with very little.
Right.
And that's a lifelong journey where discipline is needed to put less and do less and get more.
You know,
So that's the truest luxury.
Indian cuisine is something which is really popular all over the world today. Do you think
Is
that
it?
most parts, I feel that it is one of the most popular dishes, cuisines. But do you think is there a particular dish which still is not world familiar with, or people still misinterpret, or they're not clearly familiar with?
You know, something as basic as khichdi is
Okay.
dismissed as comfort food or worse as something basic and marizo ka khana. But
Right.
when you open my book, I think Masala Farm,
Yeah.
there's a khichdi recipe there called Birbal ki khichdi.
Okay.
It's the khichdi that takes hours to make. It's as far from marizo ki khichdi as anybody can imagine. Everybody says, "Oh, I love khichdi," but when they eat it, they have tears in their eyes. They've never eaten anything more beautiful, more complex, more gutturally comforting, more succinctly pure, and yet dynamically layered and nuanced. So
Right.
in this, the dal is bhunot before anything else is done to it to get the khushbu of the dal into the pan. The chawal is bhunot to get the basmati ki khushbu into the pan. Then the spices are dry roasted and some are bloomed in oil. Others are ground into a powder. Then the birisht is made. Then the kacha pyaz with lemon is done. Then a gremolata of churi ki chutney is put in it.
Right.
Then the cooking of the vegetables separately, then infused with the tomato jam. It's Birbal ki khichdi. Birbal khichdi was khayali pulao that's
Okay.
made into a khichdi. And I think that is philosophy. It's balance, it's restraint, and it's healing, not just food. It's magic in a bowl. And for me, that is the kind of final understanding we want people to have of Indian food, that it's not about loud, fiery, and heavy flavors. It's about a balancing act, a symphony of flavors, a delicate dance of choreographed, discovery of flavors and textures and temperatures and colors. Ghar ka khana has sophistry that restaurant food doesn't match, and we need to somehow translate into restaurant settings so our food can be appreciated for the finest sophistry and the oath element of Indian home food that we've never been able to put into our restaurant setting. And I'm waiting for that food to come that something like Birbal ki khichdi can easily bring.
Okay. You've been a part of the first Indian restaurant in the US, to becoming a Michelin star chef. Was that moment a moment of validation or responsibility?
Responsibility, both, I think, but the responsibility has lasted longer because it's a lifetime of responsibility. Because when you represent something larger than yourself, something of such high stature, it's not your cuisine, it's not your culture, it's something way beyond the carelessness of just words. And you guarantee that uh, validity, the success of that thing that's intangible, by not allowing simplistic gestures, trends, fads, and just profiteering to come in your way. you become the guardian of that thing.
Right.
And you do it by holding it so close to yourself that you won't do wrong by it, because you know that it's even more important than your breath. And to me, that's what it did. I couldn't be careless anymore with my physique. I had to be the painful truth bearer that would speak up when other chefs were doing something that just looked pretty but was wrong.
Right.
Because for a fad and a trend, it served a purpose. But then you were having people dying of heart attacks and
Yeah.
diabetes, because butter chicken is not a dish of Indian soul, heart, and any incredible imagination. It's
Right.
it's our McDonald's, and we've unfortunately not graduated past.
Right.
So I have to tell people, please don't judge us by that. It's terrible. It's our McDonald's, and I'm sorry you're having to enjoy it or not, but that's not what our food. So that's the kind of truth telling you have to do once you get that uh, little pat on your back to say you've earned that. Now be correct, be a responsible chef, a human being, and think about sustainable practices that will not just protect your business ethics, but keep the advancement of your cuisine, your culture, your nationality, your people all safer for the future.
Right. This is one question I want to also ask you personally is, you yourself has had health setbacks, but you've come out stronger. So I want to know, has that actually changed the way you look at ambition today?
Reinvention is never glamorous. It costs certainty, it costs you relationships, because a lot of people only understand us for what we once were.
Right.
And there's comfort in sameness. It's disorienting to be around people who are growing, evolving into richer, different versions of themselves. And staying the same costs even more. Because at the end, you look at the mirror, and one day in your life, perhaps just the last day you live, or a few years before then, the mirror you have to square off.
Right.
And in Urdu, they say, मैं आईने में देखता हूँ मैं कहाँ चला गया.
Right.
तो दयारे दिल की रात में चिराग सा जला गया, मिला नहीं तो क्या हुआ, वो शक्ल तो दिखा गया. So you do see your visage, your image, your reflection, and it never lies.
Okay.
So you have to reckon with yourself. And it's better that you reorient, you keep becoming, as I said, identity has to evolve. You keep evolving into a more rich, fluid, smarter version of yourself than what you want to be because of sameness and comfort. Because a day comes when your life says, तुम क्या हो? ये सुबह की सफेदियां, the clarity of the morning, ये
Right.
दोपहर की जर्दियां, the धुंधला of the evening, मैं आईने में देखता हूँ मैं कहाँ चला गया. So that's the worst feeling to have when you're ready to pass. That I lived a life that wasn't true. Kabir says, जब इस जग में पग धरो सब हंसे तुम रोए, ऐसी करनी कर चलो तुम हंसो सब रोए. So that you live that life that is so honest, integrity ridden, and based on what you believed was the truth. You may be wrong, but at least you went with your belief, and that's a life well lived. You can chase money and stars and awards, but they don't give you fulfillment or a senior moment that tells you, I respect you. So you have to respect yourself and the choices you make.
You yourself today are just not a celebrated chef, but also a fashion icon. I know you love fashion and you are,
So
uh,
simple.
no, today you are, but we've met earlier and I've seen your fashion sense. So, when did that shift come along? Were you always inclined towards fashion, or was it something which came naturally to you?
I was 14 when Rohit Bal Gudda and I became friends. For a flash, we were lovers, we thought. And then he found out my age and he slapped me and he said, are you mad? I can go to jail for doing anything with you.
Okay.
And Gudda instilled a love for fashion, a love for the creative arts, and a love for the finer details of life. And before that, my mother would stitch and knit and do all kinds of embroidery and stuff. And my grandmother did crochet. I learned macrame. So creativity, creating stuff, attention to detail. I was taught from a very young age, and fashion is all about details and understanding how they come together to create drama, to create a movement, to create confidence, to create a story,
Right.
and to create a living, moving artwork that can lift your mood, get you attention that you deserve, and you take those things away from you that are bringing you bad energy. So
Right.
fashion can be a very powerful tool that you can employ for your success if you understand how to play with it. And
Mm.
I think from a young age, between Gudda and Gitanjali Kashyap, and I don't know Suneet Verma personally very well. We know each other, but these were the people creating fashion when I was a young boy. Beena
Right.
Ramani, Sardar Mahijit Singh, and Antiquaire, and Nalin Tomar. They taught me how to look at life and find the magic in these objects and clothing that, when done beautifully, tells you so many stories and has the ability to change your mood. Because when you get lost in those details, you see fantasia that life often doesn't have around.
Right.
So grab anything that's beautiful, hold on to it, study it, and when you do, you get to understand finesse. And fashion is, in the end, all about finesse and that attention to detail. And when you've lived with it, nothing else adds up.
You know what, Suvir, you're a person, you've seen the highest of highs and lowest of lows, but today, if you think of success, do you think does success simplify a person today or actually complicates them further?
Success for me, I can't talk about others. I've seen people never stop counting money and making more money and wanting more money
Mm.
and wanting more material stuff. Having seen death very closely,
Yeah,
having lost everything, and having to had to create
yeah,
life as I see it today in my late 40s, 50s once again. In America, I was in the top cadre of chefs. You would Google my name and I'd be in the top
yeah,
few. In India, I had to come and prove my chops again and show people I had something. And I was doing it at a much older age when chefs in India sit down at a chair and just dictate what they need to do.
yeah,
I think it's kept me younger. It's kept me smiling, and it's made adversity seem easy because my mind could not be clogged by the broken ego. I had to prove myself. So, in losing a lot, I gained youth, I gained respect again, and I was able to prove myself again. And doing that at 50 is, yes, cumbersome and tiring and can take the mojo out of you sometimes physically, but it does give you a aha moment that says, I'm not as bad as I thought I would be at this age.
right,
Yesterday, my cook was telling me how tired he was and he had a long day. I lifted him, he's 6'3", and I carried him from his kitchen to the front door. And I said, Satya, these shoulders, the doctor is shocked that I can lift a pen or a pin. They're gone. I have a degenerative disease that is very bad to my joints. I can't be lifting a pen, but I've lifted you. But this still has the ability to think. So I said, that's what adversity can do to you. It teaches you to not give up. It teaches you to keep going. It teaches you to find something where there's nothing.
So I want to know, today, in your opinion, what defines luxury dining in 2026? Is it exclusivity, experience, or emotion?
I think emotion. Exclusivity is tired. Experiences can be manufactured. Emotions cannot be faked.
Right,
So, it's not consistent, and restaurants that have been successful, restaurants that people keep returning to, restaurants that are 40, 50, 70-year old. People go there because they feel seen. They connect with something deeper than a trend or a fad or a cuisine. There's a je ne sais quoi, there's something there that's intangible but felt. And that is what the crux of the matter is.
right. And today, if I see probably Suvir 5 or 10 years down the line, I'm sure you have certain targets and you've set for yourself. Where do I see Suvir in 5 years down the line?
Uh, Chasing truth, chasing integrity, chasing the moment, chasing honesty in cooking, chasing storytelling that comes from a place of preservation of humanity, chasing flavors that make life healthier,
Right,
make food comforting, and dining tasty,
right,
because we've lost a lot of it.
right,
We've Instagram is a brilliant tool that we've used to our disadvantage in making everything look insta fabulous. We've created dishes that are ghastly, that bring us to the hospital, that are corroding our forests and our land and water bodies, and we become mindless people killing ourselves.
right.
So I hope 5 years from today, I'm still hoping to do the right thing and maybe bring more people with me to that place where mindfulness, deliciousness, and sustainability can all tango together.
Right. Also, they say, if you want to be healthy, 70% is your diet in terms of what you consume. But a lot of people also, try shortcuts like keto diet and other means, to be showing quick results and, trying to be healthy in the most weirdest way, or I would say the most unhealthy way. What is your take on this? How can one look good with the right kind of food and also not at the same time kill their cravings? Because majority people have into midnight snacking or binge eating, so how is that, how can one control that, especially when you're aging, like especially people who are 40 plus, when the metabolism really slows down and things like that. So what is your answer to this? How can the youth, especially today, or us as millennials, can prevent ourselves?
So, diet is a very dirty word that we need to get out of our lives, that we need to send to a dangerous planet which we want to see annihilated. Diets and trends are two things we should never change. Diets are meant to fail. Atkins diet, this super diet that was making people lose weight. Mr. Atkins falls on his head and dies because he had his body failed. You can't have an all protein diet and be healthy. So
Right,
you have to have a very good conversation with yourself. Am I wanting to diet, or do I want to be a new human being
right,
who is living a better life, who's changed their lifestyle, become a more mindful human being, who's paying attention to what their body is wanting, who enjoys every day to the fullest they can,
yeah,
who does the right thing by their body, who feeds their mind, who feeds their satiety, and who's being mischievous and naughty just enough to not feel caged in prison, imprisoned, but feel free and making the right choices.
right,
So diets kill us, lifestyle changes make us smarter. I have a friend, Anandita Day,
yes.
Anna Day, who's lost 60 plus kilos.
It's our mutual
She
friend, yeah.
She's my closest friend, and
Yeah,
Anna had, like all of us, issues that were breaking her from inside out. And those issues took her to binge eating and bad places of mindlessness, like
yeah,
all of us are. I am Anna times 20 times worse than Anna, but
yeah,
not smart enough like Anna to act on it and make myself better. She did. She
yeah,
exercised 4 or 5 hours a day.
yeah,
She pays attention to what goes in her body. She doesn't diet, but she's understood that that is poison. This is yummy, but meant to be had in small portions. And when you do it like that, your brain is excited that you're getting enough of it. But when you deny, you want to do those things even more. The forbidden fruit is always better than anything else. So
right,
we have to be very far away from diets, but we have to make lifestyle changes that keep us moving in the trajectories of our lives that are better, and never punish ourselves by abstaining from things that give us pleasure.
right,
Pleasure is very important. The mind needs to be rewarded for good behavior, and all things in excess are bad for you, whether it's diet or mindfulness. Both are dangerous when you do it too much.
right,
So we have to be smart. And we see in all the blue zones of the world that people are not dieting; they're just eating good stuff,
right,
and they police each other. They do sat sangati. They're like-minded people of good values and good brains and good family values, connected together, sitting together at a table, eating food together, laughing, joking, healing each other, policing each other. And they don't have police forces, and they don't have major hospitals, they don't have major diseases,
right.
because they are just doing everything like it was meant to be. They're eating whole foods, they're having wholesome conversations, and the whole community sits together and enjoys life together. Sat Sangati.
Also, as I've been really fascinated, and especially I think the whole world is fascinated, you've been a part of a restaurant, which I think everyone knows and is everyone is really enjoys the food. That is Bastion. I could not finish my podcast before asking this question. You've been there from the inception. You've been very closely associated with that project. What was that like, when you bring a new concept or an experience to a city? What are the factors you'll look at? And, how is Bastion such a big success today?
So I must put facts as they are. Kelvin was the chef when they opened, and credit for Bastion goes to two people: Ranjit Bindra, the founder, and
Right,
Shilpa Shetty and Raj, the
right,
twosome. They dared to think that India could have a freestanding restaurant with personality, with good food, with great customer service, with good retention schemes, with a decor that was something beautiful, and with food that was super quality. They set out to give people that. They charged for it, but they gave you a bang for your buck.
right,
And I came to open Bastion at the top
right,
and Bangalore. And it was the most beautiful experience. I got to see world class attention to detail in
yeah,
a mom and pop restaurant business that has now grown into becoming in multiple cities with
right,
multiple businesses.
yes,
Ranjit Bindra knows what he's doing. He has hospitality in his blood. His father was in the trade. His daughters are studying it. And Ranjit loves great food. He eats food. He enjoys seeing chefs cook. He supports his chefs, but he also understands the market and he knows that location is the key.
right,
And he also knows how transient some trends and some offerings are, and he knows how to move quickly and refresh them and keep them growing with life.
right,
And that's Bastion's, I think, sense of who they are. And I was lucky to be part of the journey for almost 2 years.
right.
And they're a very good group and
Now,
very good employees that have all stayed loyal and they love what they're doing. It's
right,
teamwork. It's a brilliant founder, a brilliant celebrity partner, and just dedicated team of people.
okay. Now this brings to a fun segment. This is the rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you quick questions, just to know you more personally and your likes. So the first one would be luxury or legacy?
Legacy.
Okay. A flavor that defines your childhood.
Ghee with hing and cumin.
Okay. Cooking alone or hosting many?
Cooking for many.
Okay. Silence or celebration?
Silence that understands and celebrates celebration.
Okay. One word you want to associate with your name decades later.
I would say care.
Okay. One dish which you personally love cooking and you think it's your USP.
I think a starter that is curiosity, restless searching, unfinished. Main course would be conflict, like ambition, love, exile, return. And the dessert would be acceptance. Not the sweet kind, but the complete acceptance of self and the world.
Okay. I'm going to give you three names. You're going to tell me what dish you think would describe their personality the best. Ranveer Singh.
That's the actor.
Yeah.
I would say a sassy khichdi.
Okay. Akshay Kumar.
Oh God. Chapati with ghee.
Okay. Shilpa Shetty.
Ghee roast with a poached egg and a parmesan crust in the poached egg and a beautiful sourdough bread, crisp and char grilled. Because I made it for Shilpa and she said it was better than the Chetty ghee roast he'd had. Shilpa
Okay.
loves good food.
Okay. This might be a tough one. Karan Johar.
Karan is a self-proclaimed character who has a difficult time with food.
Okay.
And for Karan, I would give all the junk food made with care and love with the best ingredients. So
Okay.
when he has his midnight cravings, he's eating what he craves and still being safe with his health. I would love to give him that.
If someone made a biopic on your story, on your life, which actor you think would, depict it really well?
I don't think I have that interesting a life, and I don't think um, any actor should have to be as boring and
You're
flat as
being
I
very
am. So
modest, Suvir, but yeah, I would like a name.
my life is rather ordinary. And, you know, I don't think I deserve a biopic, and I
Well,
don't think any actor deserves to be put through the hard work of playing me. And I think if somebody even attempts to do it, I'm sure their imagination is better than mine. Um, I would love to see who would do it, because I think I'm a rather difficult, plain, ordinary human being, and my life is what it is because I don't shy away from being honest about all my failures, all my shortcomings, all my messiness, because all of it makes me who I am. So I think it will have to be an actor who's not afraid to show vulnerability, to uh,
mm,
be flake, because there are some people who are flaky and I don't want them to be ridiculed.
mm,
An actor who's willing to look what some may say is feminine, some may say is stupid, some may say is flashy, because I dress every which way I can to shock people, because there are people who I know that like to be all those characters.
right,
And I want to show the world that plurality really matters and it should have its own space. 10
mm,
people can dress up in 10 different ways and should all be given the same respect. So it has to be an actor who can do all of that, who has the courage to be ridiculed by audiences for playing a role that was many things, but not the box image of perfection that people think perfection is.
right. And my last question for the podcast would be, if your life had to be described as a single menu, what would be the starter, main course, and the dessert it represents?
Starter, as I said, it would have to be something curious, something naughty and mischievous, something that makes you delve deeper. The main course will have to be the globe on a plate with depth, with mastery, with nuance, with layers, with color, with texture, with temperature contrast, with lot of wow factors in it. And the dessert will have to be the most unforgettable thing, like my mother's il flottants, floating icebergs, or this I had at Jaipur at this Haveli, whose name I'm forgetting right now. I'm getting old. It's from the Nawab of where the neighborhood that in Haryana where the engineering school. It's not IIT, but it's um, almost at par with IITs. It's in the small town in Haryana. The Nawab of that town has a beautiful home opposite the chief minister's bungalow in Jaipur, the Loharu House. There, oof, the shahi tukra, which they make as a casserole, as a baked dish, is so amazing. Maybe the dessert has to be that emperor's morsel that Begum Sahiba Loharu makes. And that's because to me, that if you don't make a dessert as memorable as it should be, the evening is lost. It's
Right.
the last bite, and the final bite should always be the best you can imagine.
Well, that comes to the end of the podcast. Suvir, you're such an inspiration, and it's always learning, whenever, though we've met we recently met you at Hello Awards, but we hardly had a chance because at events, you really can't sit down and talk. But, whenever I am in the Bay and I hope to come soon, would love to catch up. And, it's truly inspiring, especially for the people also watching today. Your journey is remarkable. And, the fact which I love the most about you is you are experimental. And I love people who love experimenting things. I myself, whether it comes to whatever I try to do or my own fashion sense, it's about how you feel as a person, then a validation you need from the outside world. So if I'm comfortable in my own skin, I'm happy with that. You need to be happy with whatever you are comfortable with. And I'm really inspired with even fact that what you wore also that day at the Hello Awards, I was really happy to see and I loved your outfit. So wishing you all the very best and hope to see you on the other side. And yeah, it was truly an honor and privilege to have this chat with you. Yeah. Thank you so much again, Suvir.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care, Siddharth.